back, dear students and friends. We were discussing chapter number 4, Animal Kingdom. In this chapter, in the previous session, we have finished with molluscs, echinodermatas and hemichordata. Now we are going to start with an important phylum. It's called as a chordata. So let's discuss the characteristics of this chordata. So first of all, we will start with its level of organization. Which level of organization they have? So here the level of organization that is found in this, it's an organ system level of organization. Which level of organization is present? Organ system level of organization is present. Second, when we talk about the symmetry, here the symmetry that is present into a chordata, it's a bilateral symmetry. Which kind of symmetry they have? Bilateral symmetry is present. When we talk about the layers that is present into a phylum chordata, so they possess the 3 layers, hence we are calling it as triploblastic. So they have a triploblastic organization. When we talk about the coelom, then here they have a presence of a coelom, so we are calling it as coelomates. Okay, so this is the most important characteristic you can find. They have an organ system level of organization, bilateral symmetry, triploblastic, and the coelomates are present. Now the most important thing you can find in the phylum chordata, it's a presence of notochord. This notochord is present into a phylum chordata. This is the most important characteristic. As they have a presence of notochord, that's why we are calling it as chordata. Okay? Whereas the other phylum what we have discussed till now, like hemichordata, mollusca, echinodermata, platyhelminthes, annelida, arthropoda, they all have a notochord absent. They don't have a notochord. But here, this is a phylum which have a presence of a notochord. Okay, so here the notochord is present. So this is the most important characteristic you can find in it. Along with this, there are also further characteristics that can be found in this chordata. So one characteristic you can find is the presence of pharyngeal gill slit. Okay, they have a presence of pharyngeal gill slit. This is the characteristic you can find into a phylum chordata. And along with that, there is also presence of post-anal tail. What is present? Post-anal tail is present. So this is the characteristic you can find into a phylum chordata. Okay, so there are the 3 most important characteristics you can find into a chordata. Notochord present, pharyngeal gill slit is present, and the post-anal tail is present. And these 3 characteristics make it different from the non-chordates. Okay, so let's see what are the differences that exist between the chordates and the non-chordates. So now we are discussing the difference that exists between the chordates and the non-chordates. Okay, so here we are going to start the difference between chordates and the other one, you can say that non-chordates. The most important characteristic you can find in the chordate. What is the most important characteristic? Here there is a presence of notochord. So notochord is present in the chordate. That's why we are calling it as chordates. But in non-chordates, the notochord is absent. The notochord is present. In non-chordate, the notochord is absent. Now here you know that the notochord is present. So where it is present in the body? So here the notochord is present on dorsal side. On which side it is present? It's present onto a dorsal side. Okay, and what is the characteristic of this notochord? It is a single and hollow. This is the characteristic. It is a single and the hollow. Such kind of the characteristic you can find into a chordate. Okay. Now, as the notochord that is present on the dorsal side in chordate, so the heart is present. Heart is present on ventral side. On which side it is present? The heart is present onto a ventral side. Whereas in non-chordate, the heart is present on dorsal side. Where the heart is present? In case of a non-chordate, the heart is present onto a dorsal side. This is the difference. Okay. Next, if you compare the next characteristic in the chordates, here the post-anal tail is present. But in case of a non-chordate, the post-anal tail is absent. I am writing in the short, but you have to write the full sentence. Here the post-anal tail is absent. Okay. Next, in chordate, the pharyngeal gill slit is present. But in case of a non-chordate, the pharyngeal gill slit is absent. So these are the characteristics or the differences you can find between chordates and the non-chordates. I again repeat the difference. It is very important difference. In chordates, notochord present. In non-chordate, notochord absent. In chordates, notochord is present on the dorsal side and it is single and the hollow. In chordates, the heart is present on the ventral side. In non-chordate, it is present onto our dorsal side. In chordates, post-anal tail is present. In non-chordate, the post-anal tail is absent. In chordate, pharyngeal gill slit is present. In non-chordate, the pharyngeal gill slit is absent. So this is the difference which you can find between the chordates and the non-chordates, and these are the usual characteristics you can find into a phylum Chordata. Now this phylum Chordata is further divided into a subphylum. There are 3 subphylum in which this phylum Chordata is divided. So let's discuss the division of this phylum Chordata and their characteristics. Okay, so now we are going to start with the division of phylum Chordata. So now what are the characteristics you can find into a phylum Chordata? See, we are starting with the characteristic of phylum Chordata. Remember, it is a phylum. Okay, this phylum Chordata is subdivided into a 3 phylum. Okay, what you can say, it is subdivided into a subphylum. Okay, so which are the subphylum of this Chordata? There are 3. First is called as Urochordata. Second one is called as Cephalochordata. They are the subphylum. And the third one, you can call it as vertebrates. These are the 3 subphylum. Okay, Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and the vertebrates. Now, what are the characteristics? We will discuss the characteristic of each subphylum. Starting with the first one, Urochordata. This Urochordata, they are marine, means found in the sea water. Okay, they have a presence of notochord. So I am writing that notochord is present. Notochord is present, but it is not present throughout the life. It is present in larvae, means it is present only during the larval stage. And where it is present? It is present in the tail region. Okay, so it is not present throughout the life. Notochord is present, notochord is found, but it is only present during the larval stage and it is only found in the tail region. Okay, so this is the characteristic of subphylum Urochordata. And the example of this Urochordata is Ascidia. This is the example of Urochordata, Ascidia. Now, what are the characteristics of this Cephalochordata? This Cephalochordata, again like Urochordata, they are marine, means can be found in the sea water. And here the notochord is present. Notochord is present. But it is not just present in the tail, it is present from head to tail region. and it is not only present through a larvae stage, it is present through a larvae and the adult stage. So you can say that it is present throughout the life. It is present throughout the life. So here the example of this cephalochordata is Amphioxus. Okay, this is the example. Amphioxus, it's an example of cephalochordata. So what is the characteristic of this cephalochordata? They are marine like a Urochordata. Here also the notochord is present because obviously it is a chordata. And it is present throughout its life, not just in a larvae stage. Along with a larvae stage, it is also found in the adult stage, and is present from head to a tail region. And this is the example. Amphioxus is the example of Urochordata. This Urochordata and the cephalochordata both are very primitive chordates, very primary chordates. Okay, so you can say that they are also called as protochordates. What they are can also be called as? They are also called as protochordates. Okay, so this is the characteristic you can find in it. Last subphylum of this chordata is the vertebrate. What is a vertebrate? In a vertebrate, the notochord is present, but that notochord is converted into a cartilaginous or bony vertebral column. Here the notochord is converted into a bony or cartilaginous vertebral column. That's why we are calling it as vertebrates. Okay, so this is the characteristic you can say it's a vertebrate. Now these vertebrates can be divided into two types. The first one is called as agnatha, and the second one is called as gnathostomata. Remember how many types? Vertebrates again divided into two types or two divisions, agnatha and the second one is called as gnathostomata. What is agnatha? Agnatha means those animals which are jaw-less. Jaw is absent. And here in the gnathostomata, jaw is present. See, I am saying a jaw, not a mouth. Jaw. If jaw is absent, then they falls under agnatha, and jaw is present, then they are calling as gnathostomata. Okay, this agnatha can further divide it into a class. You can say that it is cyclostomata. Which one? It's a cyclostomata. And this gnathostomata, it's further divided into two parts. Okay, the first one is called as species, and the second one is called as tetrapoda. So what is species? Species, that means those have a presence of fins. They are species. And what is a tetrapoda? Tetra means four. They have a four. Poda means limbs, or they have a two pair of a limb, or the four limbs, they fall under the tetrapoda. Now the species, that means they possess the fins, which is further divided into two types. Which are they? First, chondric thighs, and the second one is ostick thighs. Okay, usually the fishes, they include under it fish, they have a pieces or fins, and they are the chondric thighs and ostick thighs. Now the tetrapoda means those who possess the four limb or the two pair of a limb. It's further divided into amphibians, means those who can live in water and land. Reptiles means who show a crawling movement. Aves means the birds, and the last one you can say that mammals means those who have a mammary gland. So this is the classification of gnathostomata. Barabar, I again repeat, the vertebrates, in vertebrate the notochord converts to a bony or cartilaginous vertebral column, which is divided into two parts, agnatha and gnathostomata. Agnatha, the jaw is absent. In gnathostomata, jaw is present. Agnatha further divides into cyclostomata. Gnathostomata further divides into species and tetrapoda. Species means those who have a presence of fins. Like example of classes chondrichthysis and ostricthysis, it falls under the pisces. Tetrapoda means they have a 4 limbs. Amphibians, reptiles, apes and the mammals, they are fall under the tetrapoda. Now first of all we will start with this today, agnatha. We will discuss this gnatostomata in the next session. So first of all we start with the agnatha. As you know that they are the jawless and it is divided into a cyclostomata. Now what are its characteristics? The most important characteristic where it can be found, they are marine, means it can be found into a sea water. Another important characteristic you can find, it's a ectoparasite. It is a parasite, means it depends on the host for its nutrient requirement and it even causes a harm to a host. But it is a ecto means it remains on the outer surface of an animal. See, you have also learned the endoparasites, like platyhelminthes is an endoparasite. It is a parasite but lives endo means inside the body. But ectoparasite, it is a parasite but that lives outside the body. So here they are ectoparasite, they lives on the outer body of large fishes and they get a nutrient from this fishes. Usually a whale, shark, such kind of a big fishes on its body surface, these animals of cyclostomata can be found. Now if you see that characteristic, here also pharyngeal gill slits are present and 5 to 7 pairs of pharyngeal gill slits can be found in it because it is a chordate, so it follows the rule of this chordate. Okay, here the closed circulatory system is present. What kind of circulatory system is present? A closed circulatory system is present. So these are the characteristics of an animal which falls under the class cyclostomata. The examples of this cyclostomata are, which are the example? I am writing the example over here. It is lamprey and the second example, it is hagfish. Okay, so these are the 2 examples of cyclostomata. Now one more important characteristic you can find into the cyclostomata is the presence of a mouth. Remember, jaw is absent but mouth is present and sprouted mouth is present. Like many girls, they are making a mouth while taking a selfie. Like such kind of a mouth they have. And this mouth, with the help of this mouth, it is acting as a suckers. It sucks the blood from the host. And that's why we are calling it as ectoparasites. So they have a characteristic mouth is present. Such kind of a mouth cannot be found anywhere. Okay, so this is characteristic of class cyclostomata. So that's all about it, the agnatha and cyclostomata. Regarding the gnatostomata, means jaw bearing animals, we will discuss it in the next session. Till then students, keep learning, keep watching. Like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.